That's some postseason, huh? Happy birthday to Joe West. It's October 31st, and that's Joe West's birthday. As we mentioned, this is the first year since 1994 in the players' work stoppage that ended that season prematurely that Joe West and Gerry Davis, neither of the two, got a postseason assignment. That is quite some impressive streak of postseasons that got snapped this year. Speaking of which, we ended the postseason, the World Series, on a very somber note, something I've never seen before and hope to never see again. We started with the Jim McKean patch on the sleeve, and during the World Series, we added two more. We had 2 moments of silence for umpires prior to the World Series games. I've never seen one series have 2 moments of silence before. Eric Cooper and then Chuck Merriweather, and I've heard both in many, many stories described as great guys, and always these smiling and the nicest people you'll ever meet, and all of this stuff that I thought that's really nice, and it says something great about their character. And then I thought further and said, you know what, it's not just cliched stuff, because I thought, well, what are people going to say about me? And then I realized no one's going to ever accuse me of being a nice person, so that means that all the more that means that it's valid that they are so well regarded, and we will miss them terribly. And it's going to get really real to a lot of people when the postseason, when the preseason rosters come out in 2020 and Coop's name is not on it, and when the supervisor list comes out and Chuck Merriweather's name is not on it. That's when it's going to get really, really real for a lot of people, and so we will miss them. This postseason, the Washington Nationals won the World Series, and I mentioned that they had not won a pitch skew game the entire way through Game 6. They finally won a pitch skew game in Game 7 of the World Series. It took until the very, very last game of the playoffs for them to win a pitch skew game. Again, pitch skew, brief recap. We add up all of the veritable umpire misses throughout the game. Let's say a pitcher throws a pitch significantly inside, umpire calls a strike. That would be a pitch skew of +1 in favor of the defense. So we add them all up. Washington only won one game. Game 7 of the World Series, and what a time to wait to win a game for pitch skew battle. We mentioned that they had catcher framing issues in past videos. This was also the year that we had several umpiring controversies related to legal battles. Angel Hernandez, of course, has an ongoing lawsuit with the league over racially motivated discrimination. We'll continue to keep tabs on that, as well as Joe West's defamation suit against Paul LaDuca, which seems rather a slam dunk for him to win, if not get settled prior to that. And then finally, we have this Rob Drake Twitter episode, when in the past video I mentioned, be careful on social media, and for umpires that still have accounts, I remind you to be careful with your accounts. People went so far as to defame the Calling for Christ ministry. That's Ted Barrett's deal, because Rob Drake was involved with it early on. He was a co-founder. Rob Drake hasn't been involved in Calling for Christ. He hasn't been there for quite a few years, yet people are still going after CFC because they saw his name was associated with that, and that's really unfortunate for that ministry. From a PR standpoint, it would be great, the first thing I would advise is put out a statement saying that this guy's no longer involved with your organization and hasn't been for some time. But at the same time, I know what kind of schism that could create between umpires. So it's a political ploy that might not work out in Calling for Christ's favor, but it's still, without getting religious or political somehow while discussing these very issues, it's very unfortunate that they got dragged down with this as well. Because, as I just said, Drake's not involved with them. Also, we are going to discuss over this offseason those 3 legal issues because, yes, the Drake issue turns into a quasi-legal issue. Not legal that he's going to get arrested or sued or anything, but that his employment could be not necessarily in jeopardy, but impacted. He could get suspended. He could get fined. He could lose his job, theoretically, though I don't think that's going to happen. Judging by what MLB has done with their umpires, but you never know. It was a dumb thing for him to do, and wherever you fall left or right on the spectrum, you might say he should be locked up, you might say he should get a job in the White House or anywhere in between. My thought is, as an umpire, you cannot be making statements like that in public, and your mileage may vary on that, so we'll follow that story. We'll also follow the story of the MLB umpires, MLB CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, which is up for renewal or draft up a new one this offseason, and if they can't ratify something new, we're going to get a work stoppage. And will we get replacement umpires? Who knows? We'll follow that story. One thing we know for sure is we're not going to get replacement robo-umps because the technology is not close to being ready yet. We've seen Fox Track's little pitchcast box fail quite a few times during the postseason, and that's on the website too. In the Arizona Fall League and in the Atlantic League, we've had ejections because the box in the zone doesn't seem to work. ABS, the automated ball strike system, doesn't work. Speaking of which, Hawkeye is going to be replacing TrackMan. That's why we didn't use the phrase, and MLB didn't use the word TrackMan for quite some time this year, because TrackMan's going away. Hawkeye's coming into play, and that's where we put our own proposal on, hey, MLB, umpires, this is how you can compromise about the electronic strike zone. You can have a challenge system to correct really egregious stuff that's obvious to everyone without impacting your overall autonomy of your umpire's ability to call a game. We have a video on that. Please watch it. We have the UEFL Postseason Awards coming up. It begins now. You can vote for your favorite umpires that are the Umpire of the Year, the noteworthy and the rising star, so to speak, the honorable umpires, best crew chief, best call-up, best ejection, and the most disappointing season. All of these awards are available for you to nominate and vote, closecallsports.com. Following that and the finalization of the standings for this season, we will open up the Rule Summit. If there was a situation you didn't like how it was handled, you don't like what the UEFL rule says about it, the way we adjudicate quality correctness, what have you, the commenting platform, visit us during the Rule Summit, because unlike many things, we allow our members to change those rules, to change how we operate the website. It is a true democracy where people can essentially vote for themselves how they want things to be. The Rule Summit will be there. We'll have much off-season content. We'll talk about the hiring actions, because there should be some retirements and vacancies for other reasons that are on the roster going from this year to next year. So that will lead to some personnel changes. We'll talk about that as well. And of course, there are podcasts. We have a lot of great guests coming up, retired umpires and other people in the field that we think you'll really enjoy. So stick around at closecallsports.com this winter. We'll have some great content for you. And if you have an idea, drop a comment here, send us an email, go on the site, go on Facebook at Umpire Ejections, Twitter, tweet us at Umpire Ejections, and follow that. Thank you so much for your support this year and into the offseason and for next year. And we look forward to a very productive October 31st, month of November, December, January, February, and beyond. Thanks.